Christina Everhart Period 5 Era 11 Project Standards World Terrorism 9/11 Obamacare iPads and iPhones and Obama as President. Standard 1 World Terrorism. On the morning of September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda-affiliated hijackers flew 2 jets into the complex, one into each tower, in a coordinated act of terrorism. After burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower collapsed, followed a half hour later by the North Tower. The attacks of the World Trade Center killed 2,753 people. This impacted many of the people who were and weren't involved in this horrible incident. Many of us now face fears of more terrorist attacks and other threats. During the hijacking of the planes and countless injuries, many people lost their lives trying to save their own at the same time. Also, people were jumping out of burning buildings to their deaths. Standard 2 9/11 September 11th of 2001, 19 militants associated with the Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 airliners and carried out suicide attacks against targets in the United States. 2 of the planes were flown into the towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon just outside of Washington, D.C., and the 4th plane crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. Referred to as 9/11, the attacks resulted in extensive deaths and damages, triggering major U.S. initiatives. Many people were injured and killed, including over 400 police officers and firefighters. This impacted us because of how much damage, deaths, and injuries there were. This caused us to be more cautious about terrorism and other attacks. Standard 3 Obamacare. Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, is basically the health care plan for America. Their goal is to help you understand this whole thing. Obamacare was signed into law to reform the health care industry by President Obama on March 23, 2010, and upheld the Supreme Court on June 28 of 2012. Obamacare's goal is to give more Americans access to affordable, quality health care insurance and to reduce the growth in health care spending in the U.S. Obamacare doesn't replace private insurance like Medicare or Medicaid. Over 100 million Americans have already benefited from the new health care law. It affects in many ways. In order to get the money to help insure tens of millions, there are new taxes, mostly on high earnings. The taxes that may affect you directly are the individual mandate and the employee mandate. Standard 4 iPads and iPhones. As you may know, Apple makes many devices, such as the iPod, iPhone, iPad, MacBook, and etc. Many of you just think that owning one of these electronics could make your life better. Well, they all have their ups and downs. Some people use them for music, work, school, and other things. I feel as if using one of these electronics you could become more dependent to these devices. There are some people out there that absolutely depend on electronics such as these. It could also bring your learning ability down because you're either not paying attention or just don't care because you have some cool device to Google search everything. As you can see, these electronics impact our everyday lives in many different ways. Standard 4 Obama as President. President Barack Obama is the 44th President of the United States, with a father from Kenya and a mother from Kansas. President Obama was born in Hawaii, August 4, 1961. He was raised with help from his grandfather. After working his way through college with the help of scholarships and student loans, President Obama moved to Chicago, where he worked with a group of churches to help rebuild communities. He went to law school, where he became the first African American president of the Harvard Law Review. Obama was elected the 44th president on November 4, 2008, and sworn in on January 20th of 2009. President Barack Obama impacts us by trying to force Obamacare onto us. Also, some of us just don't like him in general. With his new healthcare law, over 2 million people will quit their jobs, cut their hours, or simply just stop looking for employment because of the new health care benefits.